Hello guys, welcome back to Mr. English Talks. Today we are diving deep into a fascinating and incredibly important subject, the 14 mind traps. These are the common psychological pitfalls, errors in thinking, and irrational biases that cloud our judgment, sabotage our decision-making, and prevent us from achieving our full potential in life, career, and even in learning English. Understanding these mind traps isn't about blaming yourself, it's about gaining awareness. Once you can name these traps, you can spot them, and once you spot them, you can strategically avoid them. Think of this script as your mental toolkit for clearer thinking. These traps are often called cognitive biases, and they are unconscious shortcuts our brain uses, which unfortunately often lead us astray. Let's explore these 14 common mind traps and learn how to break free. 1. The confirmation bias trap. The confirmation bias is perhaps the most common trap. It's the human tendency to seek out, interpret, and favor information that confirms or supports beliefs you already have. We love to be right, so our brain actively filters out any evidence that contradicts our existing views. The actionable step, when forming an opinion or researching a topic, like a grammar rule or a financial idea, actively search for the best arguments against your initial belief. If you can understand and debunk the opposing view, your own view will be stronger. If you can't, you need to be flexible enough to change your mind. Ask yourself, what evidence would it take to prove me wrong? 2. The availability heuristic trap. The availability heuristic is the trap where we overestimate the likelihood, frequency, or seriousness of an event based on how easily an example comes to mind. If you constantly hear news stories about plane crashes, you might think flying is more dangerous than driving, even though statistics prove the opposite. The easily available mental image sways your judgment. The actionable step. Whenever you feel strong fear or urgency about a decision, e.g., investing in a trendy stock after hearing a single success story, pause and seek out objective statistical data. Don't rely on recent headlines or emotionally charged anecdotes. Facts, not feelings, should guide your decisions. 3. The anchoring effect trap. The anchoring effect is when we rely too heavily on the first piece of information offered, the anchor, when making decisions, particularly when dealing with numbers or prices. This anchor disproportionately influences all subsequent judgments. This is why negotiators often try to throw out a high number first. The actionable step. When negotiating a salary, buying a car, or even planning a budget, do your research before you hear the first offer. Establish your target value or price range beforehand. When presented with the anchor, mentally shift your focus back to the objective data you collected, not the initial number presented. 4. The sunk cost fallacy trap. The sunk cost fallacy is the trap of continuing to pursue an endeavor simply because you have already invested a significant amount of time, money, or effort into it, even if continuing is clearly irrational or detrimental. The effort you've sunk prevents you from cutting your losses. The story: imagine you bought a movie ticket. 10 minutes into the film, you realize it's terrible. Do you stay for 2 more hours just because you paid for the ticket? That's the trap. The money is already gone, it's a sunk cost. The actionable step. Focus only on the future. Ask yourself, if I hadn't started this project relationship venture, would I start it now knowing what I know? If the answer is no, stop. Courageously accept the loss and redirect your resources toward a more promising future opportunity. 5. The halo effect trap. The halo effect occurs when our overall impression of a person, company, or idea, such as their attractiveness, kindness, or success, influences our judgment of their other unrelated qualities. If someone is charming, we often automatically assume they are also smart, trustworthy, and competent. The actionable step. Always evaluate different traits separately. When hiring or partnering with someone, break down the evaluation: competence, skill, integrity, honesty, and chemistry, personality. Don't let one strong positive characteristic, the halo, blind you to weaknesses in other areas. 6. The bandwagon effect trap or groupthink. The bandwagon effect is the tendency to do or believe things because many other people do or believe the same. This trap, which can escalate into groupthink, makes us suppress our own doubts or dissenting opinions to maintain harmony within a group. We go along to get along. The actionable step. Cultivate independent thought. Before joining a trend or agreeing with a group consensus, force yourself to write down 2 or 3 reasons why the opposite might be true. If you are in a meeting, consciously try to play the devil's advocate, even if you agree with the group, to ensure all possibilities are explored. 7. The Dunning-Kruger effect trap. The Dunning-Kruger effect is the trap where people with low competence in a particular skill often overestimate their ability, while highly competent people tend to underestimate theirs. The truly ignorant are blissfully unaware of how much they don't know, leading to overconfidence. The actionable step: never stop learning. When you learn a new skill like English, reaching the advanced beginner stage can feel empowering, but that's the danger zone. Seek honest, critical feedback from true experts and commit to a curriculum or testing mechanism that objectively measures your knowledge, forcing you to confront what you still need to learn. Humility is your defense against this trap. 8. The present bias trap. The present bias is the trap of favoring smaller immediate rewards over larger delayed rewards. We prioritize instant gratification, a snack now, over better long-term outcomes, better health in the future. This is why saving money and exercising are so difficult. The actionable step: practice future self-connection. When making a decision, visualize your future self and the positive or negative consequences of your current choice. To counter the bias, use technology to automate good habits, like automatic savings transfers, and introduce friction to bad habits, like leaving your phone in another room while working. 9. The focusing effect trap. The focusing effect is the trap of placing too much importance on one aspect of an event or situation while ignoring other, less salient factors. For example, people often overestimate how much happier they will be after a major positive event, like moving to a sunny state, because they overfocus on the weather and ignore other factors like job stress or cost of living. The actionable step: always evaluate decisions holistically. Use a decision matrix where you list all the important factors: cost, convenience, long-term impact, short-term pleasure, and give each a score. This forces you to look beyond the one exciting or dominant feature and consider the full picture. 10. The status quo bias trap. The status quo bias is the powerful preference for things to remain the same. Change, even beneficial change, requires effort and carries risk, so we often prefer to stick with the current state, even if it's suboptimal, simply because it's comfortable and familiar. The actionable step: whenever you feel resistance to change, ask yourself, if I were starting this company relationship project fresh today, would I choose this current path, or would I choose the change? If the answer is the change, then the risk of staying put is actually greater than the risk of moving forward. 11. The loss aversion trap. Loss aversion is the psychological phenomenon where the pain of losing something is psychologically about twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining something of equal value. This trap makes people overly cautious and risk-averse, preventing them from taking positive, calculated risks. The actionable step: reframe the situation. Instead of viewing an investment as a risk of losing money, view it as a risk of missing out on a potential gain. Focus on the potential benefit and the positive outcome of the risk, rather than obsessing over the potential downside, which you've already assessed and accepted. 12. The hindsight bias trap. I knew it all along. The hindsight bias is the tendency to see past events as having been predictable once the outcome is known. After something happens, people often feel they knew it all along, which can lead to overconfidence in their own predictive abilities and a failure to properly learn from past mistakes. The actionable step: when documenting a decision, always record your thought process before the outcome is known. Write down your prediction, the reasons for it, and the probability you assigned. Later, compare this to the actual outcome. This objective record helps you truly identify where your judgment was flawed, rather than letting hindsight skew your memory. 13. The fundamental attribution error trap. The fundamental attribution error is the trap of overemphasizing personal characteristics, like personality or disposition, and underemphasizing situational factors when explaining other people's behavior. If someone is late, we assume they are lazy or irresponsible, ignoring that they might have been stuck in unexpected traffic or dealing with an emergency. The actionable step: practice empathy and situational awareness. When judging someone else's mistake or bad behavior, force yourself to generate 3 plausible, external or situational reasons why they acted that way. This leads to fairer judgment, better leadership, and healthier relationships. 14. The blind spot bias trap. The blind spot bias is the meta trap, the tendency to see yourself as less biased than other people. People are generally aware of cognitive biases, but they believe they are personally immune to them. This prevents us from recognizing the existence of our own traps. The actionable step: accept that you are biased. We all are. The goal is not to eliminate bias but to mitigate it. Actively seek people who think differently than you and respect their perspective. Assign a friend or a trusted colleague the job of calling you out when they spot one of your recurring biases. Humility and peer review are the cures for the blind spot. Conclusion: escaping the traps. There you have it, the 14 mind traps that subtly influence our daily lives. From the confirmation bias to the blind spot bias, these cognitive shortcuts are part of being human, but you are now armed with awareness. Remember, awareness is the first step to control. Start small. Choose one trap that you realize you fall into often, perhaps the sunk cost fallacy or the present bias, and actively work on implementing the actionable step to counter it this week. By mastering these mental defenses, you will become a clearer thinker, a better learner, and a more successful decision maker. If you liked this video and found these insights useful for your life and your English learning journey, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, Mr. English Talks, hit that like button, and share this video with a friend who needs a mental tune-up. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next video.